Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition.
Hello, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello there.
Walters, Thomas, Catherine, Barb says hello.
Hello, Liana and Rebecca.
Yes,
Crazy Witch.
Standing Stones.
Yeah.
And Crazy Witch. What's up? He loves it when I do that, man. I don't know why, but he does. You know, I had to take my cat ball off my mic. It would not turn off during my last show again. So, yes, Liana, it was driving me nuts. Rebecca, yes, and we're not going into the ditch, Rebecca. I got the wheel. Stay off of it.
Rebecca, I get it now. She said about with minus the monks. I get it now, the chipmunk.
Yes.
Little monks.
Yeah, the chipmunk, right? So, yes. Yeah, the chipmunk and the chipmunk monk. But, yeah, all right. Yeah, Chris is over there laughing. Red face. Is that a red? I have to look at my trifocal. But, yeah, all right. But, so, how's everybody going? How's everybody doing?
Good.
How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, all right. So, Mike, anything going on with you and your little gifting little pail or bucket?
I haven't been over there since Memorial Day. I just had too much, grandbaby and things like that. I've had too much going on. But I do plan on getting over there sometime before August is over anyway, but it just isn't going to be this weekend either. So I keep in contact. But basically, what they got a little farm over there, a little small hobby farm, a lot of produce. They get plenty of fruits and vegetables from the farm during this time of the year. They really don't need the gifting bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the green tomato last week?
Oh yeah. I got something for you, Mike.
They like them when they ripen up, but I tell you, just what was impromptu interesting though was we last Thursday night I was at a buddy's house and we were Cape Girardeau, Missouri is about 100 miles south of St. Louis in the Mississippi River, population about 40,000 people. Just outside the city limits, we were out talking in his driveway about 9:30 in the evening, and over toward the Mississippi River, we started hearing him howling, and the Bigfoots were howling, and he's like, "Is that?" I said, "Do you hear that?" He says, "Yes, that's that. There they are." I said, "They're hollering up a storm over there," and that goes back to the theory, whether it's Barb's house or whether, in my area, they don't have to get too far away from the beaten path to be in abundance. So, Chris Hensley can go out in those Florida mosquito-fested swamps all he wants to, but we don't have to venture far away, do we, Barb?
No, I know. I was listening to Nona Boss had a great show yesterday, and Chris and his team was on it, and oh my gosh, listen to what they have to go through with their snake boots and everything. Cypress.
Oh yeah,
is that what Cypress? What are they called? Was it needles?
No, I mean knees are what they are. So they actually have knees that grow out of the ground. So as the tree's growing, instead of dropping seeds, it'll send shoots up from roots that start new trees, and they end up being this tall, but they're basically knee knockers. You're gonna smack into them. They hurt.
You gotta watch.
They hurt.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of venturing out a lot, and one of our group members, he's an honorary kind of team member. Dr. Bill Hewitt is on backstage, and he's got some pretty cool stories that you guys will love to hear. And a matter of fact, even a recent experience a couple weekends ago.
Great.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him on, but I love Rebecca's comment up.
I seen you react to something. I wonder what it was that you reacted to.
I kept my hand over my mouth because I'm trying to not die from laughing, because I am thinking of a song, Rebecca, and this goes for Mike. Oh, baby, I'll never do you no harm because I love you. You remember that song? Please believe me. But anyways, but
Why
I
are you
heard that
singing that to
song
Mike?
today. Yeah, he goes, it's okay, baby. Try a little more. You can do it. I got faith, honey. You can do it, baby. Do it. Do it just one more time, baby. Just one more time. But, I heard that song, Please Believe Me, by the Beatles, warm guitar. And I was like, damn, it sounds like mine.
We hadn't been on 10 minutes and we're already in the ditch.
But when Rebecca put that comment up, I was like, damn, that's Mike, man. I was like, yeah. I was like, do not lose it. Yeah. All right, Mr. Bill, welcome to the show. Yay. Glad to have you on, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good today. Sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Introduce yourself and tell us all about you.
Well, I'm Dr. Bill Hewitt. I'm a cryptozoologist, and I spend a lot of time in the forest here in Florida.
Interesting. Love it.
I'm definitely out there hunting Bigfoot and any other cryptids I can get lucky enough to come across. So.
Well, welcome, Dr. Bill. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, I call Dr. Bill. I call him the go-go gadget Bigfoot because this guy is like Inspector Gadget. I mean, he makes everything homemade. He makes all kinds of crazy gadgets, and he turned his expedition into a Bigfoot mobile, more or less. And he's got power infrared thermals that are mounted on the top, so we drive around at nighttime. We went down there and visited him, and we went down the Everglades, and it was pitch black, had all the lights off, but with two iPads, he could see exactly where he's going. Drive right down the road with all the IR and stuff. Pretty cool. So, Bill, tell us about some of your, what got you into cryptozoology first? I want to know a little bit about that. I never heard that story.
That's going all the way back to high school and just listening to a little bit of information that filtered in from out west, and it got my interest. And I always thought that there can't be that many people making stories up. There's got to be some truth to it, and I always had the interest. I just never was able to get out west and do any research out there. And then when I finally retired and moved to Florida, I thought, well, okay, it's all over. I'll keep reading about it. I'll keep studying, but I'll never get out to look for one now. And then I soon learned that they're here, and I didn't know that all those years. So
interesting.
It was kind of a big surprise, and then I said, well, here we go. Now I'm going to look.
So what was the first confirmation experience you had?
Well, the first thing that happened, I was just getting on the computer and just looking around, typing in, and it accidentally glitched, and it came up Bigfoot in Florida. And that got my attention right away. And, well, then I started actually researching it, and within a few months, I was on the way out there, heading out to as many trails I could go to.
You travel all over Florida. Where's you're based out of Miami, obviously. So
I'm based out of Miami, and the Big Cypress National Preserve is a good place I go. Bear Island, that's all local down here. And it turned out I soon learned that Palm Beach County is a hot spot. There's a lot of action goes on there.
Wow.
I think that's what Nona. Nona Boss is from over that way, matter of fact, and she says she never has anybody to go out with, and she's right there. So that's interesting. Tell us about your first experience.
Actually, my first experience was in Palm Beach County. I walked into a wildlife management area there, and it was a hot summer day, quiet, and all of a sudden I got a wood knock. And I was a little new to it, and I thought, well, somebody else must be out here looking for Bigfoot because they're beating on the trees. But when I got back to the trailhead, I found out there was no one else there. I was the only one. So that was the first one. And the next day I went back in there and I got 2 wood knocks. So that started me on the way.
One knock for day 1, 2 knocks for day 2.
You went back for a third one. We might have got 3, right?
Yeah, I was doing at least 3-4 days a week up there for several years. And it just seemed no matter where I went, I was getting more and more into it. I soon learned to do this. When I found an area I liked, because of the little kiosk maps that are never accurate and they only give you the trails they want you to know. The first thing I do is go home and order a topo map. And I was convinced that first day that someone had just been wood knocking like I had. Maybe they came in a back entrance. And when I got the topo map, I soon learned that was the only entrance. So that was definitely a Bigfoot. And since then, in there, I've heard not only multiple wood knocks, but a beating on a log, rapid beating. And I found out through other researchers that is usually a Bigfoot with a rock beating on deer bones or hog bones to get the marrow. They pulverize it and they beat it right down to nothing.
Wow.
Then they eat the marrow. So I've heard that in there too. It's a pretty active area.
How many encounters, like actual encounters, have you had?
3 actual encounters of 4 creatures altogether.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been very, very lucky. Yeah, I know that doesn't happen in the first 10, 12 years of your looking, but I've just been lucky or been with the right people. I don't know what it is. So.
Right
You're very
spot, right
dedicated.
place, right
It sounds, you know. Sorry, Chris. I was just going to.
No,
very
go
dedicated.
ahead.
The first, one of the first encounters I had in this area I'm just talking about, and it's called Hungry Land, was again a hot summer day, walking down the trail, and all the sounds quit on me. All the birds, the crickets, it got real silent. But I looking around, it's a good, comfortable trail. It's nothing unusual there, and suddenly I heard what I thought was a bear growl right behind me. And when I say right behind me, I'm talking like 5 or 6 feet behind me. And I dropped my camera, I swung around, and I thought I was on the way down. I thought, bear is running up behind me and he's going to jump me. And it was very loud, and I was convinced it was a bear. Big surprise when I turned around, there was nothing there. So I started fanning out, looking around different areas. There was nothing. So that got me thinking about what I had been reading about the Bigfoot cloaking. And I didn't come out and say that, but there was no other explanation for it. I even bluff charged the palmetto line because I kept thinking, well, I'm wrong. It wasn't 6 feet behind me. It was 10 or 15. And then I looked that area and, okay, I'm wrong. It's 30 feet, and 30 feet was the palmetto line. So I thought, well, I don't see a bear. I can't figure this out. So I bluff charged. And when I got to the edge of the palmetto line, I stopped yelling and screaming and just waited for him to come out or hear him run away, and there was nothing. It was dead silent. That got my attention that day.
Is that the time is that the same area? You told me a story one time that you got walked out of.
No, that's the same county, but that was a different area.
Okay.
I was going down a favorite trail, a beautiful trail, just a kind of a shoulder width trail. I never had anything but good things in there. It was a very comforting and relaxing hike down there. It's only 2-3 miles in, and I got maybe halfway in this day, and I found a little track which I estimated to be a baby squatch about 8 inches long. And I made sure I didn't confuse it with a bear, and there were no claw marks or anything.
Right.
It was definitely a young squatch. So I down on my hands and knees videoing and taking pictures of it. And when I stood up, I suddenly became very, very ill. I mean, it just happened in like 15 seconds. I went from feeling great to feeling very, very sick. And I didn't quite pick up on it right away. But I did have enough presence of mind to click on my video camera, and I had it on a monopod, so I held it next to my shoulder, and I did a 360 turnaround very slowly. I figured whatever, if there's something out there, I want to know when I get home at least. And by the time I did the turnaround, I was probably 2 or 3 times as ill. I was really, really feeling sick.
Wow.
But at that point, it was just feeling sick. And I waited another minute or so, and then the fear set in. So I figured they were hitting me even harder with it. And I went from my favorite trail, and I love it out here, to what the heck am I doing out here? I'm all alone. I shouldn't be here. And darned if they won. They walked me out. Walked me right out of there. And I'm pretty sure that whatever it was must have been cloaked, because I couldn't see him or her. It could have been Mama with her baby. I don't know. But they walked me out, and they kept it up until I got right to my car. And as I went around the last bend in the little trail, and there's my car 50 feet away, all of a sudden, instantly, everything went away. And I stood there saying, why did I do that? I'm not scared. I don't feel sick. I feel great. But that's how fast I got turned on and turned off.
So when you say Dr. Bill walked you out, could you hear it or them pacing you as you were going out?
I didn't hear anything, but I had a sense that I was being watched all the way out.
Yeah.
And I kept turning around and looking, trying to see something, because I knew something was following me, but I never did see it.
So if that was some kind of zap, and Barb, you dealt with that, with that zap, do you remember when, on Barb, on yours, do you remember when that feeling just left you and you felt normal again? Was that a similar situation?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Exactly what happened.
Great.
Yep. I mean, perfect. I mean, you just like normal, because I was thinking, I wasn't aware of infrasound. Were you aware of that, Dr. Bill, when that was happening?
I knew about it, but I'd heard about it, and some of the other team members I was with on other trips were talking about it, but I just didn't think of it that day. I just knew that suddenly I was very, very ill, and I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, I was thinking possibly that my having like a heart attack or a stroke, or what's happening.
I don't think I felt anything like that or any fear of it. I just felt sick to my stomach, and I couldn't figure out how that happened so fast. It was just and you're thinking about that. You're not thinking about, oh, maybe this is infrasound. What?
No, right.
I can tell you when I got back to the car and sat down for a few minutes, then I figured it out.
Yes. Yeah. Because I had heard about people. I had heard about infrasound, and I knew that people were, they would say like hit by it, but I thought it was everyone that had heard of, they would, have almost like lasting illness for, a week or whatever, just the more serious. And that wasn't my situation. It was just like yours. Once I got out of the woods, it just completely left me. So.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And like I say, it was turned off so fast that I just stopped. I had a glass of water, and I said, well, you know what? I'm going to grab my my casting kit, and I'm going to go back out and get that. There was one beautiful little track, and I wanted it. And that's how good I felt again. Like it was all over, never happened. Now I'm going to go do something else stupid, But as I was getting the trunk or the casting kit out of the trunk of the car, it started to rain, and it came down real hard. And I knew that track was gone, so I didn't bother.
Yeah.
Awesome. Makes you wonder if it was maybe, like you said, a mama and her baby, or even for you, Barb, like another female hit you versus maybe a rogue male hitting you. That might be harder and a little more fear set in for the infrasound. So there are people that get sick. I mean, we know Mike in our group's been hit by it, and it's been down a couple different times for like 2 or 3 days. Maybe some people are just more sensitive to it too. Who knows? It could be,
or they probably, it could be, I feel like the level of what they hit you with. I left right away. Dr. Bill, we left. We were neutralizing any threat that we were there, that we were imposing on them. So maybe they knew. Just let off.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you said you heard that the sound that sounded, you didn't know if it was a bear. That was your first encounter. Is that right? Is that what you said?
That actually was my first encounter.
Okay.
In the bush,
Okay.
yeah.
So that wasn't the one that you were hit with the infrasound. Is that right?
No.
That was your second time. Okay. All right.
Right.
Yeah. Because I
if you even count that as an encounter, I don't know, but it pretty much is in my mind.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, Chris. I don't mean to talk.
No, you're good. You're good.
That, and if you guys recall, Mike recalls, because I told him that my first thing was I was grunted at, and I knew it wasn't a bear because of where I was at, but but it did sound like a silverback gorilla. So I thought that it was probably Bigfoot, but I didn't see anything either. But there was a lot of places for them to hide. So anyway, that's it's ironic that we both kind of had another similar situation. So
yeah, and you guys are on opposite ends of the country.
That's right. So. Yep.
Yeah. Well, like they say, they're everywhere. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what's another encounter you've had? I know you've had a few, right? So
we've had a few things happen. I guess my first actual encounter sighting, was in Palm Beach County also, and we had been going out every night and camping there, and just going out and spending time in an area that it was under a pavilion, so we had a little shelter, a little protection, and we had never ever had anything happen. In fact, I had been going there for, I would say, probably 3 years. Every chance I get, I would go check the place out, and I'd go under the canopy and sit there for a few hours at night. And then one night I'm out there with my colleague, Bigfoot Dave Miller, and we heard an acorn go across the tin roof. I mean, classic Bigfoot, absolutely classic. And we looked at each other, and he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Nah, can't be." So then we heard big thumps coming up. I mean, just almost ground shaking thumps. And Dave says, "Do you feel that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I do. Now that you say it, I feel something in the ground moving there." And he caught one on his thermal, and he says, "What's this?" And he aims it over to me, and I said, "Oh my God, that's a Bigfoot." And I'm thinking, how did he get that? Where did that come from? And by the time I swung my night vision around, there was this 7'6" Bigfoot between two, I guess they were palm trees that were in a shape of a V. And he was just standing between them, 30 feet away, watching us watch him.
Oh, wow.
Very bold. He knew we were watching him, didn't seem to care. I almost thought it was like a cardboard cutout at first. And then I started studying him, and I realized that he would look over at Dave and then look 10 feet over at me. And you could see the whites of his eyes and his pupil moving back and forth.
Wow.
I said, "Okay, that one's real."
Yeah.
Wow.
But he let me study him. Like at 30 feet, my night vision binoculars are, I think, 7 power. So I had a full face view of him. And he let me study his face. He had not a pointed head, but a ridged head. This was a little bit unusual, but where you could kind of see the little bits of bone sticking out on the ridges. And he let me dip the camera all the way down, slowly down. I got to see his long, skinny arms. His fingers were at least 8 to 10 inches, just the fingers, and fairly slim legs. Not like what didn't seem to match the body. But I got all the way down to his ankles, and I worked the camera back up. Now, all this it seemed like forever, but it only took 25, 30 seconds. And I got to look at his fingernails, his fingernails were exactly like ours, only black. Wow. Exactly human fingernails. And when I got back up to look at his face again, we're just staring at each other. And it suddenly hits me that I hadn't recorded. So I moved my.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
Grizzly's all about the video.
I moved my index finger from one button 1 inch forward to the next button, and he was gone.
and yeah,
he
mhm.
knew.
That's smart.
Instantly gone. We didn't see him duck down. We didn't see him run. We didn't see him do anything.
Wow.
Just
Wow.
vanished. And
Mhm.
yeah, I beat myself up for a while about missing the video, but we also decided that maybe he controlled that.
Mhm.
We don't know, but if he controlled it, and I had pressed the video record button right away, maybe we wouldn't have seen anything.
That's right.
So you kind of take what you get, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sounds
You
like
really
a
got
really,
a great
really cool
opportunity.
sighting, though.
It was very cool, and
Wow.
you know the sad part was my wife was supposed to come out that night, and she was tired from work, so she stayed in the camper.
Oh,
And when I got back, I couldn't wake her up. I was so excited I couldn't sleep, and it was terrible. It was a rough night.
Well,
can you describe his face? What did his face look like?
It was kind of a typical Bigfoot face. It was probably the cheeks showed up here, and the hair was probably 2 to 3 inches on most of the face. The mouth was very wide, and the eyes were dark. They were the pupils were, I would say, dark brown to black, but the whites of his eyes were very, very white. So that's how I could see them moving so easily.
Mm-hmm.
But he was interesting, and like I say, he just decided to walk up on us. You know, there was no us finding anything. It was all him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
when
you guys were just sitting in the dark, kind of with some chairs, just kind of listening and waiting.
yeah, we're sitting there swinging our thermal and night vision around, just trying to find something coming out of some trail there, you know. And the next morning we went back. I marked on the tree with a little twig that was coming out. I marked that was where his head was. So we got a 7.5 foot measurement the next day, and we found about I'd say 10 or 15 of his tracks.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his footprints were there. So
What was the size of the prints?
they were 14 by about 5 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, not huge, but substantial.
Oh yeah. The that's incredible, and just
Yeah.
all that just sitting and letting him come to you. That's
After, and the funny part was I go in the three big areas in Palm Beach County, and this one I had never seen anything, heard anything, found a track, and I was giving up on it after close to 10 years, 8, 9, 10 years. I said, all right, I'm going to come here once every year maybe, and then that's where we have a hotspot.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so you never know. You
That's great.
just can't tell.
Dr. Bill, there was a question. Crazy Witch wanted to know, what kind of night vision were you using?
I can't remember the name of it now. Do you remember, Tina? It's the type with the screen, and it's actually a monocular, and the other piece that looks like the other lens is actually infrared light.
Okay.
But it's like a 4-inch screen.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I like them much better than the monocular you look through with one eye and watch your eyes get leggy for the night,
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you also had an encounter, which is a really cool story you guys haven't heard yet, and or at least a sighting of some juveniles.
Ooh.
And
Yes.
tell us about that. That was what, in Mayaca?
That was in Mayaca, yes. And we had been booking Mayaca for a week or two every year. And same Dave Miller, Bigfoot Dave Miller, and my wife and myself, and we would go out to the North Picnic area pavilion. And there's a set of swings and slides, a whole playground there. It's kind of at night, it's a little bit dangerous area. One side drops off into the river with gators, and so you don't want to, be too far over there in the dark. And the other side is bush so thick I couldn't get it through with a machete. It was just impossible. So we're just standing there watching, and again, it's night after night after night. And all of a sudden, a little 4-foot child just instantly appears in the picture. We're wow, where'd that come from? And then before we can even discuss it, a little bigger one, his brother shows up. And unfortunately for us, we were thinking like parents and not like researchers. So we're kind of verbally beating these parents up, saying, "Why are you letting why are they letting kids out at night?" They're in like it's 89 degrees out, and they're in a coat and heavy pants. And we're going, this doesn't make sense. They got no reflectives. They got no flashlight. Where'd they come from? So as it turns out, when the second one appeared, I caught him at the top of the slide. And having taught photography and everything all my life, I know that most of this equipment all shoots at 30 frames per second. And if you were to move your hand in front of your own face or your own camera as fast as you can, the camera will miss it. So what happened, these kids climbed up the slide, very tall slide too, not your average playground slide, and slid down, and instantly when they stopped, they were in the picture. So we couldn't figure out at first how they got there, but we did figure that out. And again, they're just playing around. They're doing the slide. The one runs over and he does the swing. And the thing that shocked me was he pushed once, just once on that swing, and he went parallel.
Whoa.
As a kid, it takes us, 10, 15?
Yeah.
So
and one push, he went parallel. And I remember my jaw dropping, and I go, wow, how do you do that? This kid's powerful, but it's still not clicking in. So he does that a couple more times, couple more swings, and then he jumps like we used to jump off when it's forward, and he lands over by his brother. Well, then they started chattering. They started talking, and it was much like Ron Moorhead says, it's samurai chatter.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear it because I needed hearing aids at the time, but Dave and my wife both heard the conversation.
Wow.
So they were playing on the park playground.
They're just like our kids.
Wow.
They
so
love
adorable. That's incredible.
Barb,
Yeah,
put a ring set up at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. They just now you got to know that the parents had to be right in the edge of the boat.
Oh yeah, they had.
They're not going to let them wander out. But it all happened so fast, and it's so confusing. You don't always figure it out. And we're still beating up the parents, and we're still saying, why in this heat are they, dressed like that? So we leave a little after that. The party was over, so we jumped back in the car and head back to our campsite. And I said, that coat and pants thing, that's really strange. I said, now that I've studied it, I said, I think it looks more like a one-piece jumpsuit, which is even stranger. And as soon as I said that, it clicked in. I said, oh my God, they were Bigfoot children.
Wow.
Which is what you were out there for. You got what you wanted.
Yes, of course. And, naturally, we didn't film it. Who wants to have somebody calling the police because you're out there filming their kids, So,
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Wow.
and that, that was a great part of the evening, but that wasn't all. Our campsite was 3.5 miles from this pavilion. So we went back, and by then it was well after midnight. And we thought we'd sit down and have a drink and debrief, talk about everything that went on. And a stone comes flying out of the dark.
Wow.
And I just happened to be looking into the dark in that particular direction. And a stone about the size of your thumb comes flying out there.
Ooh.
It bounced once and it hit Dave in the knee. So we're sitting there like, where'd that come from? What's going on here? So I put a light out there, but of course, you're not going to find anything. And within a couple minutes, something came up behind Dave and tapped him on the shoulder.
Oh,
And we both turned around. I put the light on instantly. There was nothing there.
Oh wow.
No.
So I
Amazing.
No doubt
They
there would be
followed you
nothing
back.
that would follow us back. So
Wow.
it was an interesting interesting evening.
Wasn't there something? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, wasn't there something that happened with the playground since then?
Oh yeah, don't want to forget that. I think it was less than 6 months later, the playground disappeared.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why exactly.
Oh, wow.
They completely removed it from the state park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
they took everything out, they leveled it, and they put grass in there. It's like it was never ever there.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So
Wow.
apparently they saw my report.
Yeah.
Oh, and if I can say something, my wife just looked it up. The night vision is a solar mark.
Okay. Thank you.
Very
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
Get rid of the evidence.
Yeah, it's you don't know, 'cause you don't know who's watching. It's like going to the conventions and the shows. You know, you don't know who's coming up to your table and talking to you.
Right.
Mhm.
You have no idea. So,
Yeah,
That's
very
just
interesting.
yeah, they do change things around. I'll tell you. Because I had someone from a group call me a few months after the sighting, and they said, "Hey, I'd like to know where that is because I'm going up there. Would you mind if I checked out that playground?" I said, "No, it's at the north end. You know, go help yourself." I send me a picture. You know,
Yeah.
and he sent me a picture. He says, "I don't see any playground." So he thought maybe he had the wrong place. I said, "No, that's it."
Crazy.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, that
Was-
playground is also an area where we baited heavily. And we baited 9 nights in a row with no cameras or anything out. And we were putting apples around the chains on the swings and putting sticks through them and way up on top of anything and everything and trees and everything. And every morning it's all gone.
Wow.
Every last morsel and no footprints, just gone. So the last night there, where we thought they were coming out of the bush, we got a ladder out and we put a trail cam up about 15 feet. And where nobody can touch it and it's aiming down at the playground. So we thought, well, we got them now. You know, they're used to coming out here. There's been no cameras. They got nothing to worry about. So we'll see. So go back the next day, our last day there, to get the camera. There's a nice video of us putting it up, a video of us taking it down. All the food's gone and no video.
Oh my gosh. Incredible.
No video, no pictures.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know how they pulled that one off. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's locked on the tree and everything with cable lock, so
Yeah.
that it's not like you can take it down and turn it off or anything.
And it was working.
Yeah, and it was working when we went back to get it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. This is
So we interviewed somebody, or I did last week, and I don't know, was it with you, Chris, or somebody? It was somebody. They had an encounter. They saw the trees move. They got bluff charged. They recorded it. It was all on video. They went home to watch it, to show it to somebody, and it never happened. But they had themselves talking. They had the video, but nothing they saw actually was recorded. They had the tree line, everything, but what they visually saw and what actually happened was not on the recording. And I don't know how that happens. So it does happen.
Yeah.
Wow, doesn't it?
So
Yeah, it's so common,
that is
too.
It's almost like they
something.
can control electronics in some way or another, right?
So yes, so
They-
that is
they seem
something
to
I'm
have some
finding
kind of
out.
control.
Yes, they do. I'm hearing that a lot lately. So yes, that's very interesting that you actually said that.
And that's why people ask me, did you get it recorded?
Yeah.
I didn't even attempt.
Right.
Why bother? It won't happen, right? Or if it will, it'll be so blurry nobody will believe it anyway, right?
I tell them I'm out there for me. I didn't even attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yolanda and Norma in the chat are saying, yeah, their energy probably shut or stopped the recording. And then Norma said it's their frequency. Yeah, that's what they say.
What if they can zap you guys to make you guys feel that sick and everything? What they
Yeah.
sure. So
Yeah, it's just amazing.
They don't zap Mike Scott. They just serenade him.
they
He's got
know
girlfriends.
they know Mike Scott's harmless.
Oh, baby, please believe me.
So Dr. Bill, apparently he had one that had a crush on him one time. And yeah, it didn't end well. There was a little heartbreak in the whole situation, but
we had about
Dr. Bill, the way he
4
told
months
this
of communication.
story, I'm telling you, Dr. Bill, it sounded like that he was in love, that he was dating this damn creature. And we were all sitting there like, what in the hell's going on? We're like, are we listening? I mean, like, everybody in the chat room is like, what the hell?
Every other Saturday night for about 4 months.
And his best friend in the chat ruined it because he was like, nobody's going to believe this, grabbed his cell phone and went to record it, and she took off.
Yeah.
And never came back. And he was like, well, she must have had a baby.
Well, he did it. No. He did do that twice.
Wow.
We were communicating back and forth, and after about 5-10 minutes of the back and forth of us, chit-chat with one another.
Now, wait a minute. You was getting ready to say something. You said chit-chatting. What was you getting ready to say? You.
Oh, I was just telling her how beautiful she was, and
yeah,
like
thank you. See, Dr. Bill.
I said, come out of those woods and let me see you.
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
You never know what's coming out of there.
Yeah.
No. But when he hit that record button, she shut up 2 times in a row, back to back times. She'd shut up, and then we didn't hear from her for a handful of months, and then she shows back up, and I asked her where she'd been. I said, "Did you or somebody else have a baby or something?" And I never heard from her again. So.
And he sounded heartbroken. He sounded really upset and depressed.
Well. I was enjoying the communication.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
It's too funny.
Dr. Bill, what's your opinion of what do you think these things are? What is your opinion?
Oh, that's the age-old question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I do know that on our first sighting, well, let's go back a little further. About 3 years ago up in Green Swamp, we were way out in the bush, and it was an open area, and we know there's at least one Bigfoot there, probably a family. And what we spotted in the sky was, I'm going to say a drone, but several miles up, way above the tree line, about high enough where the sky, the dark sky almost turns into space. So it was a long ways up there. It had multicolored lights on it, and it was either watching us or watching Bigfoot. And we never figured it out. We tried to photograph it. It was just too far up. So we let that go. But one of the guys had said that he saw the same thing in another area of Green Swamp about a year earlier. So we never saw it again. So during our first sighting in Palm Beach County, I happened to look out the end of this pavilion, and there's that same drone or whatever it is, the same one with the same lights up in the sky watching. So now we're starting to say, well, what are they watching us every time we go somewhere? But that was the night that the Bigfoot came out. Wow. So perhaps they're keeping tabs on them. We don't know. But it's pretty strange.
Mm-hmm.
That is strange.
Yeah, very. But
And-
it's
and-
common that we get.
And one night sitting here at home, I was on the computer, so I really wasn't listening to the news. But at the end of the news, they had 10 or 12 seconds they had to fill. And they put on a little sentence about a sheriff and his deputies spotted a multicolored drone, and they estimated it to be 12 miles up in the sky, and they couldn't figure out what it was.
Huh.
Exactly the same, and I didn't even catch what state it was in. But
Wow.
Wow.
so I don't know whether this is the government or what it is.
Well,
Mhm.
we're pretty sure the government's involved in stuff now. Going back to the Mayaka, you had a pretty cool story you told me. I know you weren't directly involved, but you heard of a Dogman sighting.
Right.
And
Yeah,
what
that's
happened.
on.
Can you tell that story?
Yeah, that was that's episode 29 on the Oklahoma Bigfoot Dogman show with Lance Hightower.
Okay.
Excellent segment to watch. And,
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the two gentlemen involved in that, they apparently were sitting in their van, probably having a beer or something, watching the sun come down. They were at that same place at the North Pavilion, and there was a very large Mexican family in there with a lot of kids, and they had piñatas up, and they were celebrating kids' birthdays, and these guys were just sitting there doing nothing, and they saw a dog man walk up out of the bush. And the dog man apparently was staying close to the pavilion, but hiding behind the garbage. And every time the kids ran off a little bit, the dog man started getting closer to them.
Ooh.
And they're about ready to jump out of their truck and start yelling and screaming. And all of a sudden, men in black show up.
Oh.
Yes, just out of nowhere. And they instantly came after those two. And they started giving them a hard time. Well, one guy was a food delivery guy that comes in there. That's part of his route. And the other guy was a park ranger. So they gave them both a very hard time. They took their phones, took the SIM cards out, dumped the phones back on them, and they said, we didn't touch anything. Your phones are no good. And then they spotted a computer, a notebook, that the guy used for his deliveries, and they wanted that, and they refused to give it to them. So they went back to their Suburbans, and they didn't know. They thought they got scanned because the two dogs they had hunting dogs in the back. The dogs started going crazy, barking and yelping and everything. And then they came back, and when they got out of there, the guy's computer was fried.
Wow.
But also, they were saying in the story that by the time they got to the front gate, the park ranger was fired.
Oh my
And the vendor got fired as well too, right? Or they stopped
Right,
using
yeah,
him as a
he
vendor.
never was allowed back in the park. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Wow.
So it's an
And then-
interesting story. If you haven't seen that one, I think it's episode 29 on Oklahoma
Wow.
Bigfoot Dogman.
Didn't you Google Earth or something and seen something?
Boy, you remember everything, don't
I
you?
do remember this. Yes, I do.
Yes, I did. I wondered from that story alone how the men in black get there so fast. Okay, I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it's all open area, it's fields and forests and everything around there. But on Google Earth, behind the fence, which is behind the interpretive center, there's an area in there where the biologist lives and a few of the rangers all live in there. They have trailers set up. And if you zoom in, all the trucks there are white, your typical park white trucks. And if you zoom all the way in and get down to Earth level view, there was 2 black Suburbans in there too.
Whoa. Mm.
I found that interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That would be at their speed, that would be about a 5, 6, 7 minute run to the other end of the park.
Yeah. Wow.
Very
Interesting.
interesting.
So I talked to a PhD physicist, and we were talking about infrasound in quantum physics and the string theory with vibrations. and we were talking about that on one of the shows, and one of my psychic shows, and we were talking about how we see in 3D, and talking about the 11 dimensions and the M theory. And it was very interesting because infrasound got brought up, and about the vibration levels and so forth.
Right.
And we were talking about how the government uses the infrasound to disrupt people and to disperse crowds, and they can disrupt your organs and make your vowels, lose your vowels and contents and whatnot. And even more, they can, we know they can terminate your body, kill you pretty much with the frequency level. And they had that technology for quite a while. But the point I'm making, when you said fried technology, there's a report that I've taken is that there was an incident, just like you said, there was a sighting, and they went back to camp, and supposedly men in black or people in uniform with no patches showed up, and they asked a lot of questions, and they wanted the electronics, and but they had handheld devices, and they couldn't hear anything, but they heard creatures making awful noises in the woods. But back at the campground, the dogs, their hunting dogs, were going crazy, like they were having seizures. So they were thinking that they were using those ultra vibration devices or ultrasonic devices to try to find these creatures where they were at in the woods, hypothetically. So I don't know. This may be onto something. I don't know if this may be the case or not. But once again, you're not going to give me the device. We're just going to crank this frequency up. We're just going to fry your electronics and screw you. So because EMP has been around for a long time, and it's not hard to develop, to shoot something and to pinpoint, at something to destroy anything, electronic frequency to destroy electronics. So that is possible. So
very possible.
That's very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. That's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
We have a lot to learn.
So what other encounters have you had?
Well, 2 weeks ago we had our third encounter. Like I say, we've been so lucky. We've had more than most people have in their whole lifetime. It was
I've got the pictures here that I can pull up and share as well.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Do you want to talk about it first a little bit and want me to pull it up, or how do you want to look it up?
We were in Palm Beach County again, and since we were out there for 5 days, and it was 102 to 105 every day, and by the time it got to nighttime and we wanted to go do a little more, we usually stayed in the car. Kept the air conditioning running, using our instruments outside the car to watch and see what's going on. And this night, although it was dark, it was probably when this actual encounter happened was just after, I think, 9 o'clock. And looking out my side window and Dave's side window and the top of the windshield, it was dark, but you could still see the sky and the stars and everything. So there was a little light there. Then all of a sudden, out my side window, it went pitch black. And I looked over at Dave's, and he's still got a little bit of light coming out of the sky, and he's going, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. So I'm, bobbing my head around, trying to see up around the top of the roof and out the window and see what's going on. And then we started to see something swaying. We would see a little bit of light, it would sway back, and it was totally black, and back and forth. I did that for a couple minutes. Finally, I'm in desperation trying to figure out what's going on, and I cupped my hands over my eyes and put my face on the side window. Well, when I did that, a very large hand smacked my window. So it really got my attention.
I bet.
Whoa.
So within probably a minute or so, it walked around the other side and it smacked Dave's window too.
Oh my gosh.
That's a frequency that can make you lose your bowels, right? There, Grizz.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
And judging by what I could see, it appeared that I was staring at his abdomen. So and when I
Yeah.
looked up like this to try and see out, I would say he was 7.5 to 8 feet tall.
Everybody in that vehicle would have been deaf.
Yeah, yeah. I was sitting close to the side window, but I ended up picking myself off the console. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
scared me pretty good.
Wow.
Well, I bet.
Mm.
Wow.
So,
All right,
that's
so
it.
I'm gonna share my screen, Grizz, if you want to.
Okay.
I'll
I'm
pull up
ready.
the pictures. Did I get the right one? There we go. Sure.
Yeah, we were able to photograph some of the very large fingerprints on the side windows.
All right, so on our Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group page, you guys want to look at it. Mr. Bill here's got the copy of the press release. So if you go into that, it tells the whole story. This actually brings you to our site, but tells you the whole story in detail. And then I go back.
Now, the one shot there of the quarter panel is when he walked up on us and he ran his fingers down the side. The top skinny one is his thumb, the side of his thumb, we believe, and the others were his fingers. And you could see he did it from back forward, and where he lifted off his fingers, there's a little pile of dirt on each streak.
Wow.
So they touched the car, and this is what, the back quarter panel on the driver's side,
Right.
maybe?
Back quarter panel, driver's side.
Yeah.
He was toying with us.
Wow.
That one's not a very good picture, but you can kind of see the prints on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of small.
Those are just the fingers.
Wow.
That's a hand
Now,
right here.
Yeah.
the one thing I want to point out, you notice the difference between that and a human fingerprint? Remember how we talked
Size.
about that before?
Size, for one thing. The direction of the dermal ridges.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Because I brought that up months ago, I think earlier this year, about the fingerprints, the difference between alleged Bigfoot and humans. So yes.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. No, on that last one, you could see a couple cuts he had, a couple scars going right across the dermal ridges.
Wow.
Right here,
Right.
or maybe in here.
Mm-hmm. And down, right up a little bit, about halfway. Right there is a big one.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks like it.
We measured him, and just the round part of his finger that touched the window, which wouldn't be the full width of his finger, but that was 1.5 inches minimum.
This was Dave's side where it touched over there.
Right.
On his side, he was on the passenger side.
Dave got the same thing, and some of the finger marks were 4 to 6 inches long. So
You can see the prints up here.
Yeah,
It's
he was
almost like
playing
hand-
with you. I'm
it's almost
surprised he didn't
handprint.
knock out the glass on you.
well, he could easily have done that,
Right, right.
and like you say, he's playing with us. He probably just wanted us out of there.
That, or you guys are out here for fun, we'll give you fun. I mean,
Yeah.
if he really wanted you out, though, I think he could have done more.
Oh, I could have done a lot more, I'm sure.
He could have picked the back of that car up and
Yeah,
dropped it.
that's what I was thinking.
Things like that.
Yeah.
So,
It was a very interesting evening.
so what do you think they are?
Well, we're back to that question. They're definitely flesh and blood. We know that, but there's got to be more to it than that.
Yeah.
I think there's some kind of connection. I don't know whether it's an alien connection or just a portal thing or what it is, but there's got to be a lot more to them. We just really can't figure it out yet.
Mention the music that came on.
What's that?
The music that came on the way up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was interesting, too. When we were backing out of there, and put it in gear to go forward and go down this little dirt road to get back. Suddenly our radio came on, blaring gibberish music that I don't never put the radio on. I don't listen to it. We're always busy talking or doing something else.
Yeah.
And it just came on by itself, really loud. I don't even think I would call it music. I don't know what it was.
The official station of Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The Florida skunk ape.
Yeah. Yeah.
WBF.
The good old Goodbye Human song, you know.
Wow. That is
Oh, baby.
As if we weren't nervous enough when having that suddenly blast.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that probably scared the piss out of you.
Yeah.
I would have been
And
in
it's
the
never
ditch.
happened before. I mean, we've had this car 2 years. It's never done that.
Right. Just
But once
I don't know what
again,
that was all about.
it shows that it can manipulate electronics.
Yeah,
Well,
they have the skills. They can do a lot of manipulating.
They can mess with those cameras. They can mess with the radio.
Yes. Why not? Yeah.
Wow. That's really amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, you're
I
so
love it.
dedicated though. Really, you spend a lot of time, and that's probably why why you're getting the results. It's obviously an
I think it is too. We go into an area and we spend a lot of time there, and we let them get used to us if that's possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. They come to trust you. Yep.
It's kind of like winning the lottery. You can't win if you don't play, and if you're not out there, you're not going to see it.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
that's why we're out every weekend. I haven't been as lucky as Mr. Bill here, but one of these days I'll get that point in time. But
Yeah, I never get enough time out there. I
it's
try.
getting outside.
So does your wife enjoy this as much as you, Dr. Bill?
I would say not as much, but she goes out a lot, and I only
knew
say that
was
because
coming.
she doesn't like the mosquitoes, and she she welts up for days with mosquitoes. But other than that, when there's no mosquitoes there, she's out there with me all the time.
Yeah, that's great.
Does she get
She's good.
scared?
She's had audio encounters that I haven't had.
Oh wow.
Does she get scared though?
I'm sorry?
Does she get scared?
Do you get scared?
She said no.
She said no.
A little bit.
Said, I would freak out.
She said no. Now she changed it to a little bit. So
Grizzly Chris, you get scared when you go out on your porch and hear something.
I know it. Taking out the trash.
That's what you told us last week, anyway.
Yeah.
I do. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
So wow.
Yeah, Grizzly,
Up until this last sighting, my sightings have been so good and so much fun and so enjoyable. I've never known the fear at all. And then this last one, when he slapped that window, I suddenly found out what it was all about.
Yeah, that'll wake you up if you're dozing.
Yeah,
off.
it did that.
well, on our page we have some bios of Dr. Bill Hewitt, and there's Bettina, his lovely wife.
All
You can
right.
see she's out in the field with him.
Oh great.
And this is one of his gadgets, and you can see his sound blasters, and I don't know if that's a listening device. I'm not sure.
Chris, is that your web page or your Facebook page?
This is the web page,
Okay.
Mid Florida Bigfoot
Okay.
Research.
I'll have to
So
check
I
that
think
out.
it's just midfloridabigfoot.com.
Okay.
Right. And if you go to our team, that's where, but if you go to the research gallery, it's got all kinds of fun pictures we've had. So go on Marine. So anyway,
Wow.
just wanted to show we do have pictures of Bettina, and she's a great member.
Oh, that's awesome.
She enjoys her time out there. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Well, this is just
We're all ready for winter to come again.
I'm ready anytime now. I've had enough of the heat.
when does that start for you?
Oh, well,
January?
every year it seems
Yeah,
to start a little later.
They want the temperature to get down to 70.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just normal temperatures is what we're looking for.
right.
So if anybody have any questions for Mr. Bill, feel free to type them in. I like none of us's method of using all caps, that works great if you
Yes,
got questions.
that is a good. Yeah, Bettina Moss uses that too. Yes.
I have a question for Dr. Bill and even you, Chris. Florida. Any activity that you guys know of North Florida, like Baker County, up there west of Jacksonville?
I'm not sure on that.
Osceola National Forest area.
Any national forest, you're going to find them.
Yeah, I hear there is. I just haven't made it up there yet.
Okay. All right.
But there are reports out of there.
Now, I'm going to be, I guess not the end of next week. I'll be there into Ormond Beach for about a week and back to Baker County a little bit. So, what about Flagler County? Anything like that?
Marie in our group posted. She says yes, there's activity up there.
I
don't think there's a county up there that doesn't have. If you got forest, you've got activity.
Yeah,
that's what I think too. I mean,
they're all over the place.
I got a baby grandson. I've got to introduce him.
Recruit.
Yeah.
Get another Bigfooter.
Yep. Start the training, eh?
There you go.
Absolutely.
So standing stones, we actually brought that up on one of our shows, Dr. Bill. It's not like we're flying around in helicopters shooting these things with darts and putting GPS trackers on these creatures. So it's weird how they know where they're at, right? And how they're showing up, because we actually have teams out in the field on investigations, in these whatever officials or non-officials, 3-letter agencies, whatever they're affiliated with, are showing up and like, hello. And it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, 6 miles in the woods. And they're like, what are you doing here? We're just saying hello and checking in. And we want to take you down this road and check out this barn. And they're like, well, we're not going with you. Now, me, being an investigator, I'd be like, get the duct tape and grab a chair. We are going to do some interrogation right now. But people handle things differently. But I don't know how they figure this stuff out. I mean, do they like mark your all's vehicles or something? Because you all that go on investigations don't air out where you're going. I mean, you're just not like, Dr. Bill, we're going Saturday night. We're going to be, here's our GPS coordinates.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know where you're going. But they either show up, you got drones. I'm hearing a lot about drones flying over or being in the vicinity where people are going. I just don't get it. So it's strange.
Could it be that they're always there, watching them, monitoring them, and it just, when people, when they get too close to people, I don't know.
I think anything's possible with them. I mean, they've got unlimited funds, so they can put all the hardware up in the sky they want,
Yeah. Yep.
This is true.
I'm pretty sure Bigfoot's not telling them.
If you ever have an encounter, look up afterwards. After the encounter's done, look around. Maybe you'll see something else.
Yeah.
Well,
I never thought about that before, so it's a good point.
Yeah, that's what we do now. And of course, on this last one, neither one of us wanted to get out of the car and check for a drone. So I pushed it off on Dave. I said, "Come on, Dave,
Rebecca makes a good point. Your phone's GPS.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, and especially being in law enforcement, I didn't think about that. So
yeah, they can track you all easily through that.
And if they do their research, they know Dr. Bill Hewitt goes out and hey, it's the weekend or whatever. What's Dr. Bill? Oh, he's going back to that spot. Boom, send some people over in the area.
And of course, they can track the GPS on your vehicle too.
Yeah,
they sure can. Yeah.
We don't. Yeah, the technology that's available.
Buy 1965 Mustang and call it a day. You don't have to worry about that. Well, interesting.
Wow.
Any other cool stories that you got, man?
Interesting.
Anything?
I can't think of anything right now.
What about
we need
some
to
cool
get together.
evidence? What about evidence that you found that that you thought was really
Well,
pretty
we occasionally find some evidence, but then we don't really have the money to send it into labs, and
yeah. Well,
a lot of times we get people coming up with a handful of hair with their dirty hands, and
yeah.
well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right.
What about tracks or prints? You got any casts?
Yeah, I have a couple. I found one. I've been looking for the skunk ape a little bit too, because there's so little known about skunk ape. And Dave and I were out at Bear Island in Big Cypress National Preserve a couple 2-3 years ago, and we saw this small 11-inch print, and it was right on top of the mound between the tire ruts on a 2-track trail. So it's where vehicles and 4x4s are coming out of one gate and they're going into another gate, and it's a curve. So the dirt in the center had built up maybe 4, 5, 6 inches, and you could see smudges on the tire track areas, but they had some stones in them. So there were just smudges, and there was one footprint that was right on top in this nice black earth. And we looked at it, and it's pretty messy in that, and we said, not worth it. So little did we know. So we skipped it, and we headed up a trail. I got about maybe half a mile up the trail, and I said, "Hang on, Dave." I said, "Something's bothering me." So he said, "What's up?" I said, "That track back there." I said, "I got to go back and cast it." I said, "I know it's nothing. Let's just go cast it, and then we'll throw it away." So it turned out to be, when I got it cleaned up, it's a 4-toed, and we believe skunk ape track.
Oh.
It looks very human looking, but 4 toes only.
Huh.
Wow.
So that was one of those things. Go back and cast it. Don't,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's only plaster of Paris. Throw it away if you don't want it. But that
I
was
do
one.
remember you saying a story about you wanting to go back to cast something, and it wasn't there.
Oh, that there's another one. There was 4 of us, I think, that day, and we were at one of the wildlife management areas there, and it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we found a bunch of tracks in a nice soft dirt area. We picked out 2 that were very, very perfect and very castable, and they were all 3- and 4-toed tracks. So we couldn't figure out what they were. So we picked out 2 that were absolutely perfect, and we decided that by the time we got back to camp, it would be dark, and then to come back there again in the dark wouldn't be worth it. So we skipped breakfast the next day, and we all went down there right at daybreak. Well, I had marked these 2, so we couldn't make a mistake. I put a little twig in the grass pointing at one, and then on the other side of the trail, a little twig pointing at the other one, maybe 3 feet away. So we get there, all the other tracks are still there, but those 2 that we wanted are gone. Now, they're not scratched out, they're not padded out, they're not walked on. It's perfect earth, perfect soil. They just were never there. So we're confused. We're saying, well, I know they were there. And then I got down on the grass and I lined up the twigs and was right where they were. And what it appeared like was someone had taken a flower sifter and just gone over the area because the dirt was perfect. There were no finger marks or anything in it. So we never did figure that one out.
That's amazing.
Just gone.
Grizzly was talking about some disappearing tracks the other day.
Yeah.
And you should see the size of this cast that he was showing. I don't know if you wanted to share that again, but I thought that was pretty incredible. That story in general is pretty cool.
So we have a reliable source, and I think it was Colorado. I'm bringing up my Facebook account because it's never open. Oh, my Facebook is open. I'll be. And the lady was at home, and she looked out her bay window and the sun was facing her house, and she has trees approximately 30 foot plus, and she saw this shadow that was taller than her trees, and she lost her stuff, and it looked human. And she called her husband, freaking out. And her husband was like, whatever. And she was like, no, you got to come home. And she was like losing everything. And her husband was like, I'm on my way. And he thought his wife was like losing her stuff. So he gets home and she refuses. She's hiding in the bathroom or something. And she's like, you need to go out and look between the trees over there. And he goes out there and he freaks out and calls this Bigfoot guy. And he's like, dude, what? And he's like, you got to come over and check this out. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, just come over to the house. You got to see what I'm talking about. And so he comes over and let's see here. I'm trying to pull him up right now. And he comes over and he was like, you gotta be joking. He goes, no. He goes, where do these come from? He says, I don't know. And he casted these prints. He could only get one cast. He had to go back and get more material, but the prints disappeared. And they don't understand. And I forgot how many people it took to get this out. And so it estimated. Let me see if I can pull it up now since I got it up. Let me go back to here. But we had a special on giants. Now, this brought back memories of the Troll movie. If y'all ever seen Troll, the movie Troll. So I'm sharing it right now. And now, don't forget, this is upside down, ladies and gentlemen. This picture is. So here it is. "52 inches. And there was like 12 or 13 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God.
And they just disappeared.
That's a
Like
truck
they were
tailgate.
never there. And that's the back of a pickup truck.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, I forgot the Bigfoot guy. Everybody knows the Bigfoot guy in the cryptid community. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. But they mentioned his name on the show. But I forgot how much plaster the guy had to use. And it took, I don't know how many guys to get this out of the ground.
Wow.
But
Yeah, probably weighed quite a bit.
But he said that the tracks literally just disappeared, like evaporated. And it didn't make any sense.
No, that sure doesn't.
So, Chris, check your PM or DMs, Maria said.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Standing Stone said, was it Lauren Coleman that was that? I don't think that's who it was. Was it Chris? Not Lauren Coleman.
Share screen. Okay, here's Bill's four-toed. It's upside down, but yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Big toe.
Big toe.
Mm-hmm. And you see the
very
crazy break.
Mid-tarsal break.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a mid-tarsal break, but it was very far forward.
Yes. Wow. Huh.
Now, I asked around if anybody had seen anything like this, and I couldn't find anything on the internet. And the best answers I was getting was, it's just something, somebody hoaxed it. Until I got out to Dave Shealy, and as soon as he looked at it, out at the Skunk Ape headquarters, he said, and right away he pulled up the names of the trackers and the month and everything else. He said 2 trackers were in 1998 or 99. He said they were doing unsolved mysteries or something, and they came out with 2 tracks just like that.
Wow.
And that's right where I found it, right in that area.
Big Cypress
And
Preserve.
then I talked to a couple other researchers, and one said they had seen one just like it in Mississippi. Another one saw one in Alabama. And then I finally found a picture of one on the internet in Texas. So I guess it wasn't hoaxed.
And what was the length of that track, Dr. Bill?
Only about 11 inches.
11 inches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I found it very interesting. That's, like I say, that's the one I said, that's not
Yeah.
worth it. Let's leave it.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's differences between the regions and then kind of Bigfoots like the skunk ape versus Bigfoot?
I think there are. I mean, it's I don't know the reason there's differences. They seem to have a slimmer, slighter build and only 4 toes. But there seems to be a big variation in the feet. So people are coming up with all sorts of different casting footprints out of Big Cypress, but they don't all look like that. Only some of them do.
So basically, my question would be, and because anytime you hear Florida, you hear the term skunk ape, skunk ape, skunk ape. So really, the skunk ape could be a slightly different species or a cousin of the Bigfoot. They could be 2 different types of species.
That's what I've been thinking, and I have no proof of that yet.
Right.
But they seem to possibly be a subspecies or a distant cousin of Bigfoot.
Yeah, who's probably a cousin of us. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, half related.
Yeah.
As we know.
Twice removed, once removed, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that
You never know.
that description that you gave, Dr. Bill, of the creature that you saw, that do you think that was a juvenile Sasquatch or do you think it was a skunk ape? It sounded really more like a skunk ape, but I don't know. You saw it.
Yeah, we've tossed that one around quite a bit. It's really hard to say. Especially if you're young, you don't know.
Yeah.
Even the juvenile prints that I've seen have 5 toes.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But that's Bigfoot though, not the skunk ape.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the Bigfoot always seems to have 5 toes, but it seems to be different with the skunk ape.
Huh.
It seems like it changes about halfway down Florida. In our region, there's a lot more oak trees because we still get a little bit of cold air. And the palm trees don't thrive as well because we do get some cold snaps and some freezes in the Tampa area north. Once you get around a little further south in the Sarasota area, the whole landscape changes. Those palm trees or the oak trees kind of go away and becomes more pines and palmettos, and that also seems to be about the dividing line for where we think these differences are. And
from what I could gather from the internet, a lot of these 4-toed skunk ape creatures are all closer to the Gulf. So where it's more of a swampy type of land, that's where they're found, and that's where these footprints are found. Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, if it's something for more of like like for the environment and the substrate that they're walking, traveling on, maybe like an evolutionary.
But the amount of evidence we have on skunk ape it's almost nothing. So little. It needs so much work.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if their genome returns would be different than the northern ones. If there's hair samples.
I
don't know. That would be interesting to find out.
We have to look into that because I feel like skunk apes were included in that, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I don't know where they were. I know Pilates and all them were researching that. I don't know where they were collecting from, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Guess we'll have to go catch some hair.
So the areas that Chris that you're in, is it skunk ape or just both?
We feel it's more Bigfoot or maybe even a hybrid of both, because they seem to be the reddish color hair and not as tall as like the 9-foot ones,
Right,
But
not
they-
as tall
but
and
they
not
do
as broad
have-
in the shoulders.
but they do have the 5 toes
Um,
in our area usually.
Usually, yeah. Now, if you look at all the BFRO reports, all the skunk apes are on the western side. Not although there are a few reports where back in the 70s they used to walk out of the Everglades and walk right past our house, which wasn't there at the time.
Wow.
It wasn't even a road, but they used to walk right past here and go over to US 1 and go through the neighborhoods there.
Wow. That's
There's some
amazing.
pretty compelling reports out there from the police.
Wow.
There's one that always sticks with me. A female police officer on the switchboard called one of the patrol units and said, "You better get over to such and such an address." The woman says that she's looking out her window and there's a skunk ape out there. And the reply from the officer was, "I don't have to go over there. I'm following him down the street right now."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Yolanda had asked, why do they call them skunk apes? Yep.
If you lived in the swamps, wouldn't you smell too?
Yeah.
I know I do, just going out for a couple hours.
Yeah, I
trying
was
to
just
find
gonna
it.
say, yeah. My wife mistakes me for a skunk ape on a 5-day outing.
Oh.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, the
Very
first
cool.
recording of a skunk ape, it had a white stripe going down the back of its head. Now, I feel like I've seen a video where there might be white on their face. Is that right?
Yeah, I seen a video or a picture where there was some white going down his back or down the back of his head.
Mhm.
And I mean, who knows what that
Yeah.
could be? Maybe, is that age and it's turning like ours turns, or who knows?
Silverbacks do too. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, there have been reports of all white Bigfoots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when she texted that, I was for some reason gremlins in the white mohawk popped in my head.
But didn't that one that was in the swamp that was like eating out of was like ripping a tree apart? Was that a skunk ape?
I'm not
I
sure
want
if
to say that
was-
wasn't even in Florida, was it? Or
That
Oh,
was
it
a
was
cypress, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was sitting in a cypress swamp.
Okay.
But
But that
I
wasn't
want
in
to say
Florida.
that was
Okay, well, never mind.
Alabama or Mississippi or
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
But yeah, it looked to me like more of a skunk ape type of
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bill's seen that one or not. I'm sure
Come here.
I don't think I have seen that one.
I'll have
Yeah,
to
we'll
find
have
it
to-
and send it
yeah,
to
you'll
you.
have to-
It's a good one because it sits there for a long time and it's like has its back turned, it's down on the ground, and it's just like sitting there picking at the cypress tree. I don't know if it's hollow.
Yeah,
And
that was the
then
guy
the
who
guy's
was videoing
filming it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it turned around and like started to get up, and the guy just hauls butt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I did see
run.
that. Yeah.
It's a pretty good video. That one
That was
looks pretty
very,
real
I
to me.
thought it was, compelling because why would somebody, it was a great suit if it was. And why would somebody be standing in the swamp with stupid in a suit? I don't think
There's
so.
all kinds of hoaxers out there, but some of them you just get that feeling that I had a feeling that one looked pretty real
Yes.
to me.
Yeah.
I think it was too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. So this has been so interesting. Oh my goodness. Thank you for coming and
Yeah,
visiting
I
us.
just cannot imagine sitting in the
Wow.
car and getting smacked.
Mhm.
You know, that just blows my mind. That just
Yeah. Uh-oh.
That just scared Bill off.
Yeah.
That just scared Bill off.
He's cloaking.
that is Bigfoot,
Wow.
skunk ape.
I
Doesn't
can
want
hear
us to
him.
talk to him.
I can hear. Wait.
So,
We
Wow.
lost your video, Bill.
That's
but can you
okay.
imagine sitting in a car and looking to the left and hearing that, and next thing you know, and getting smacked to the right and looking to the
No,
right?
No,
I mean,
that would be.
I'm telling you,
So
everybody
scary.
in that car would have been deaf. That's the only
Really?
thing I could say. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your ears would have been ringing for weeks.
Oh, that'd be an experience of a lifetime for sure.
What, your ears ringing? Yeah, it would have been.
Well,
Yeah. You'd
Well, that was-
you'd been seeing flames like this inside the car.
The
So,
one the video I was
Started
talking
shooting
about.
off, right?
yes, I would have been.
Filmed in
Windshield,
Mississippi.
no.
What'd you say?
So,
What'd you say, Barb?
Oh, I said that World Bigfoot Radio said that it was filmed in Mississippi. The one that.
I knew it was somewhere up there.
Yeah.
But that one looked to me what I would feel is more of a skunk apish, but it's hard to tell.
Mhm.
Or maybe a hybrid in between.
Yeah. Yep. It's odd because it has that face of that. Remember this was a long time ago. There was a picture of somebody had supposedly seen this skunk ape in the backyard, and you're looking kind of like down on it, and there's palms in front of it. You know which one I'm talking about? And it's, I mean, the thing is massive. It looks more like an orangutan. And maybe
I
that's
think I know what
the
you're talking
one-
about.
Yeah, that was from the west coast of Florida. Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
the one
Yeah.
I
behind the
think out of
ferns,
Tampa, I
call
believe
it.
that one.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that?
The one
Yeah.
looks like it's behind the ferns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that there is characteristics of the faces that are a little bit similar. That also has white, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Dr. Bill, did it look human in the face when you looked at it?
Which one? The very first one?
Any of them?
Any of them?
Yeah.
I think the first one really had a good human-looking face, except for the ridge head.
Wow.
But the face itself looked quite human. The eyes were deep, and the lips were well formed, very wide though, but well formed. And I think the pupils and the whites of the eyes are what really sealed it. He looked very human.
Would you compare that to an Neanderthal man, like a caveman?
Could be. I mean, there's so many variations, and they've come down the chain. So he wasn't like my next door neighbor or something. He was still a little bit of wild man in there.
I
Yeah.
hope your neighbor's
Sure.
not watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
But,
very
uh,
interesting.
Was there hair on his face, Dr. Bill? I can't.
There was up to about halfway up the cheeks.
Oh, okay.
Just around the eyes, there wasn't much hair.
Wow. Yeah.
But the arms, I found the arms to be, compared to the rest of his body, the arms were very skinny, very, very, very long. I mean, they were hanging down. I would say his fingertips were at the bottom of his calf.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And like I said earlier, those fingertips those fingers were at least 10 inches long.
Wow.
I was just amazed.
Wow.
But perfectly formed human-looking fingernails, just black instead of pink.
Was his and the hair was black? Was he all black?
The hair was pretty well all black, I think, as far as we could tell.
From
in
what
the
you
dark.
could see, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
You
his
were on night
color
vision, right?
was-
Yes, we're on night vision. Yeah.
Okay. What color do you think was his skin?
Color was what?
His skin?
It was, I'd say, a dark grayish brown.
Okay. All right, thank you.
It seemed to be a little lighter up here under the eyes.
Okay. Interesting.
But the rest of his hair on his body was at least, I would say, at least 4 inches long.
Wow. Somebody's asking, do you all have little, not mini monks, little what look like Sasquatch in your area?
Do we have little ones?
Little ones, yeah, the little people. There's so many different. They look like
I've never seen
Like-
anything.
Like Ewoks.
Yeah, I've never seen anything. I hear rumors, but nothing anyone's ever thought they saw.
All right, and you never got any evidence.
No.
Yeah. Wow.
I think if Dr. Bill would have hopped out of the vehicle with his camera, he probably would have saw nothing,
I
right?
sure would have tried.
Yeah, but you didn't, did you? But you
Marie,
probably would have been surprised to see nothing there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, no, I'm not talking about juveniles. I'm talking about they're actually, or
Yeah,
maybe,
the
maybe you
little
probably
people.
know
Yeah.
this. Maybe, yeah,
Right.
I'm sure she knows that.
Yeah. Never seen anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I usually keep. I have a 4K video camera that I keep on a steel mount right on the cowling right by the hood, and that's running all the time. So.
Wow, that's great.
And that didn't catch anything, huh? I take it.
Yeah, just in case. You never know if something runs across. You know.
Wow, that's great.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool. Well, Barb, did you have something you wanted to share?
No, I'm trying to think. I feel like I have so many, my mind's just racing with all this great information. I have like so many questions, but I can't. Pretty much, you were so kind to answer all of. Does anybody in the chat? You guys have any questions? They have.
Oh,
I think it's been a very enlightening evening, Dr. Bill. I really have enjoyed this.
Absolutely, it has.
Absolutely fantastic. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, you know what? I had one question. I just thought of something. Dr. Bill, what do you think as far as, so you saw what you think that they were, cloaking or whatever. How do you think that they do that? Do you have any theories how they're able to pull that off?
I don't. I mean, as far as cloaking goes, it's to me it must be a change in vibration. Okay. That's the only thing I can logically think of.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, probably somebody's going to prove me wrong one day, but that's okay. We can only basically guess and hope for the best.
Right.
Try and figure it out.
Think it has anything to do with the hair?
What's that?
You think it might have anything to do with the hair?
I have not thought about that. I don't know. I can't see why it would. But who knows?
Yeah.
Everything's open.
My speculations.
I can mention too. Maybe I'll tell you what Chris was talking about earlier. The setup we have on the roof. We built a little unit with a thermal imager and a night vision on the roof, and we have pieces of control arm, threaded rod, and things that come through the roof, and we can control the instruments from up there. And like Chris said, we have them on a couple of iPads, and we can record. So no matter where we go, we can, we got little trap doors on it. We can reach up and refocus and do all sorts of things. So, and it just sits in the sunroof. So it's very convenient and very, very handy to use.
We'll see if we can dig up some pictures of his vehicle. I think it's pretty cool.
I think someone's looking right now.
That is just so incredible. Wow.
It turned out to be a real good setup.
He's like Mr. Gadget.
That's so great.
Well, you got to have the tools to go after these creatures, and they're so smart that it's hard to just keep up with them,
That's the thing. Is what really puzzles me is that the intelligence level that they have and how they can stay so hidden. And a lot of people that don't believe in them, right? They don't exist. That's fine. Believe what you will. That's fine by me. I have no problems or qualms with that. But these things have been around for I don't know how long, for eternity or whatnot. But the more and more we have encounters and more we interview people and hear these stories and how they toy with people and what they are capable of doing, it's just like, are you serious?
Yeah,
You
really.
know, just
Yeah.
like the recording, the video recording. You know, I was there. My wife was with me. We saw what happened. We would go home to show people, and we're talking, but nothing happened.
Yeah.
But we
Right.
can hear each other talking, and it's just like, explain that.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so it's just interesting. It really is.
All right, I found some pictures of it.
Okay.
All
We
right.
had some on our site window here.
Yeah, or like Mike's one that, you know, you're communicating with the Bigfoot and all of a sudden, boom, it stops when they turn the camera on.
It's
incredible.
okay. Conversation over.
All right.
Yeah, here's the this is a picture from the back seat.
Yeah, we were looking for the back seat, and I remember that's the infrared, I think, right here, and you were setting up the thermal,
Right.
Wow, that's cool.
and that's
we
actually
found-
the camera's on top.
Right, they're right up on top of the roof on a fixture. Oh, that's where. Yeah, that's the YMCA boys. They got out to dance for us.
Yeah, we went out. We walked out from the vehicle and looked back, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, that's the thermal on this one.
And the nice thing is, once you
Oh, there we are.
Wi-Fi it to the iPad, you have all the controls right there on the iPad. So you don't have to reach up and use the camera.
Wow, that's
He actually
great.
had all the lights off. Outside was pitch black, and we literally had enough when we set these up. He can drive right down the road. It's pretty cool. Then I actually had taken a picture of looking back at his truck. This is pitch black. I had a camera also, and the camera, because it had a night mode. It had its own infrared, but that's the infrared that it was projecting out. It looked like it was blew out bulb. When I wasn't looking through the camera, I couldn't see barely anything except for maybe a little glow inside the vehicle and its taillights. So you can see the red taillights.
Wow.
But yeah, it was pretty neat. So
That's pretty wild.
You just emailed them to him? Were you able to get the emails from Bettina, Chris? I think she just sent some of those pictures.
Sure. Hold up.
I think Marie said, Mike from Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. Sorry, guys. Mike was feeling sick from all the IR, we believe.
Right. Yes, he did. He got a very bad headache out of it. So it shows you, it does affect people in different ways.
Yeah.
All right, Grizzly. So this is from the equipment on top, mounted. Always mounted here. You got where you can control it from the inside. Pretty cool. I think that was the only 3 that she sent me. But it's neat. Pretty cool. We're going to have to take that out, Dr. Bill, to the Green Swamp, because we found some really fun areas to drive around.
That sounds good.
Next time you're up this way.
Yeah. I don't go anywhere without it, so.
The Bigfoot mobile.
Chris, while we're on the subject, I didn't realize that the extent of your is it Sheely, right? That with the film that he got, and then you and was it Mike that had done the reconstruction of events? And I didn't realize it was that in depth. That's so cool.
We spent a lot of time on it. Good. How long was it that we worked on it?
Oh, tell our if you want the listeners about that, about what happened, what you guys did.
The folks that have seen the video from Sheely was back in 2000, July 2000, and we went down to visit him. Marie visited him first. It was in December. He took her out on the ATV back in the area where he had the sighting. And the area is covered during the wet season in July and all during summer, covered in about 16 to 24 inches worth of water. So the video you see of that Sasquatch running through the field is running through the Everglades, which is actually water there. So when you hear the airboats and you see the airboats, they actually can blast right through that area on airboats, but people don't go walking around out there. So we went back there and kind of on a whim, more or less, decided to do a recreation. We went out to the spot where, the Bigfoot, the skunk ape was, and literally ran the course. And we recorded the whole thing to see how he would do. And then we decided to come back again because we didn't do very good. It was tough. It was incredibly hot. And this was in February. I mean, it was hot. It was, and you were trying to run through what it felt like about 3 foot of hay and just stacked. And you couldn't get a good run. You feel like you're going to trip and fall. You just yeah. And then it's sawgrass. It's about 4 or 5 to 6 foot high, and then after a while you're like, okay, it could be a panther right around the corner at any point in time, or I mean everything out there is trying to eat you, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's crazy, but yeah, it was incredibly difficult. So we regrouped and we went back there a couple months later. Did some more research with it. We brought the walkie-talkies. We got actually another a close friend of the group, Thomas Brandon, came out, and he's a 6'4" tall, big guy runner. He's a trail runner. So if anybody's going to mimic it as much as possible, this guy would be able to. So he went out there and he ran the course. We videoed it, timed it. I put it as side by side. We created some videos. Marie did one and I did one. They came out really good. It shows the whole thing being done. But Brandon, on a dry season, because there isn't that much water out there, wasn't able to beat the Sasquatch's time while it's running through water. Yeah. And you add the element of being in July and the water.
Yeah.
It just throws everything out. There's no way.
And if it was a person in a suit, like people that's not even.
And he was winded and gassed too. And he's like, man, I couldn't figure out how to run in that stuff. It was just like, it's like I didn't know how to cut through it and like kind of kick through it or kind of step high or, it's not made for running through. And then you watch that video, how tall it is. Might not have been a little bit taller than Thomas Brandon, not a lot. But, man, it hit a gear. I feel like it either realized Sheely was there all of a sudden or something else, but all of a sudden this thing kicks it in gear. And it's running like as fast as a deer. And there's just no way. Humanly possible. In a suit, in water, in the middle of 110 degrees.
Yeah.
And it was tough. I'm telling you, even in the wintertime, in the dry season, it was tough.
Yeah.
And let alone all that. So, yeah, we did all that just to hey, I mean, somebody did a study on it. We tried to recreate it. We tried to debunk it.
Right.
I proved to myself that I dare anybody out there to try to go beat and actually recreate that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Wow. That's right. That's excellent.
So
Wow.
There's those points in times that we do the things we do just to prove to ourselves. I mean, we got people like Bill that are good friends of ours that know. I mean, he's the one that told me. He's like, there's the people that don't believe. There's the people that are on the fence. There's the people that believe like me. And then there's people that know.
Yeah.
Many of you guys know. But.
And really anybody can go from being complete disbelief, skeptic, full blown to they have an encounter, walks in front of their car, whatever, side of the road, and their whole life changes.
I think the ones that don't believe that get that experience are the ones that have the biggest trauma.
Yeah, and I shouldn't laugh because it is very traumatic for them. Yeah. Yep. Mhm.
Because that's the biggest thing. They didn't want.
Uh-huh.
They didn't think it was even possible, and all of a sudden, shit,
Right.
Yep.
possible.
Yeah, and they have
It's
to
real.
come to terms with that.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's possible. What else in life? Yeah, is possible.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mhm.
Well, Mr. Bill, I do appreciate you coming on.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir.
It's been a great night. It really has.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
An enjoyable evening.
Oh,
Great
wow.
talking to
Thank
you all.
you so much, Dr. Bill.
Well, thank you. You have a good night, sir.
Okay, you too.
Good
All right,
night.
bye-bye.
Take care.
Wow, that
Well,
was
that was
fantastic.
fantastic.
Great
Yeah,
show.
it sure was.
Yes.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh.
Input.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited to have him as a guest, so
Yes.
I was got to get another couple good ones on. So I'm actually looking to get Dave Shealy on one of these times too.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Wow.
That'll be
Yeah.
exciting. So we'll talk about all that. I like Dave. He's good. He's a character.
Wow.
So what
Yeah,
do y'all
but
think
that's-
about that 52-inch track? Now,
I don't even know. I don't even know
now-
what to say about it.
So I thought about this, and I talked to Dennis Carroll not Dennis Carroll, Val and Decker, because
Mhm.
Decker is really good friends with the Bigfoot researcher and the homeowners. And if I was going to fake a track, it sure in the heck wouldn't be a 52-inch.
No.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, we know Nephilim exists, and we
Uh-huh.
know the giant of Kandahar, right, in Afghanistan. We know the story about that. But, when Dr. Bill talked about vibrations and that physicist came on that show, it's really starting to add up. And Ron Moorhead, his book on quantum Bigfoot,
Quantum. Yeah. Quantum
I'm
physics.
telling you, stuff is starting to add up, ladies and gentlemen, whether they want to realize it or not. It's not just I don't think it's just a regular primate.
No.
Dr. Bill, I think he's on to something. I think there's more to it. What it is, I don't know.
Mhm.
I have no idea.
Flesh and blood and something else, and we're all trying to figure that something else out.
Right.
That's right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely don't want to run into something that's got a track that big though.
No, that's
No.
I mean, if you're doing the math on consistent math with that, you're talking something 25 to 27 foot tall.
Yeah. But what's weird is that the
Yeah.
tracks disappear. And I keep hearing this. And just like
Yeah.
Dr. Bill says,
Yeah.
they disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's causing them to disappear?
It's a question we don't know the answer to.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened locally to this guy that I kind of know through, just the community. And he had messaged me and said, I heard that you know things about Bigfoot, and I mean, is that true? And I'm like, well, yeah, yeah. And he said, I have something weird that happened to me. I guess it would be like 2 years now in the winter that they came out into their yard, and it's like a big property.
Yeah.
Come out, and there's this big old growth tree stump, and so they walk out to that, and the kids and they just had a lot of snow, so the kids are playing around. We don't get a lot of snow typically; it doesn't stay. So it's like a great fun snow day. So go out playing around this huge stump, and then he looks, and there's I think he said like about 10 maybe tracks, massive tracks, and they kind of went around in a semicircle. He said, and then they stopped, and there was no woods close. There was no, how if they did it jump? Do they fly?
Yeah, that's the telling
What?
point when you're seeing them in the snow, and all of a sudden they stop.
Yeah,
in
and
the
he
snow.
said, I swear. He said, you're one of the only people that I'm going to tell this because
Yeah,
I feel like but it did happen. And I said, you know what? And he said, have you ever heard of anything like that? I'm like, yes, I actually have heard of that a lot, which is, one of the big, like mysteries. What happened?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, We're trying to
Or
figure
like-
it out. But
Like a footprint that is there and then just disappears.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, makes no sense, right?
Grizzly, where
So
was
much-
that big footprint? What city? or what state?
Colorado.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Colorado.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Because she lived in the mountains, and that's when somebody was like, it reminded me of the Troll movie.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And were
and
those
that-
prints? Did they suspect it was Bigfoot, or I wonder?
No, because it was weird because we were doing a special on Nephilim giants that
Mhm.
night.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I was like, we're doing Nephilim tonight
That's
at night.
Nephilim on steroids there.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it was just weird because they don't very rarely show them those tracks because people are like, right, whatever. And like Decker and them said, like, who's going to fake something that big and who's
Yeah.
going
Right.
to waste that kind of money
Right.
Yeah.
plastering that, right?
Yep.
But he
Yep.
Pretty
said
extreme.
what was weird is after they plastered that, they're like the other ones just like disappeared, and they just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wonder.
when-
I wonder what the initial stride length was. Did they mention that? Like when they saw
that
the
I don't
tracks?
recall. I was so amazed about what
Yeah.
she saw.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now don't forget, she didn't see what it was because the
Right.
sun was
Right.
facing her.
Right.
She just
right.
saw the outline and just like was stroking and panicking, and
Yeah.
because
yeah.
it was towering her tree. So
Yeah.
You said it was
yeah.
what, 53
30
inches?
feet, 52 inches.
52 inches.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because
how
the guy-
tall?
That's 26
Okay.
foot tall.
26,
Okay,
26
so
foot.
Yolanda was asking that.
Yeah. So
Mm,
because the
wow.
guy, because I forgot how many people it took them to get that out. But I wished, I guess they probably would have broke. But I
Mhm.
wish she would have flipped it over when they took the picture of it. I
Yeah,
imagine they
yes.
do have it so we could see the.
Well, and you got to let
You
those
just need to
cure
clean
up
it.
a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then clean it up after you let it cure up a little bit. So
And,
it takes
and
a
the
little time
thicker
to
it
get-
is, the longer it takes to cure too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
mean,
I
that
would
a
like to see that.
lot of
Yeah.
plaster.
yeah.
Yes.
Or a lot of
yeah.
caster plaster. Yeah. But yeah.
Mhm. And you know,
But-
you can't even reasonably be expected to. Let's say there were 10 prints, like my
Yeah.
guy saw. You can't with something that big. You can't even be expected to cast every single
Yeah.
one of those. I mean,
Guys, I've got to check out. I've got
Okay.
a few things I've got to do.
We're
but this
done
is-
anyways, ladies
Yep,
and gentlemen. We're
Yeah.
just
Wonderful
finishing
stuff.
up. So y'all have a
Thank
good night,
you.
and
Yeah,
it was a good
thanks,
show.
Yolanda,
We'll
for
catch y'all next
sticking in here.
week.
Oh, it was yeah.
See you next time.
A blast.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Godspeed,
Great
guys.
show.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye bye.